Hey, welcome to Raccoon Rambles. We're gonna go outside and we're gonna attempt to feed some wild raccoons and give them life coaching advice. If you don't know, my name's Brendan and I post a lot of nature videos, and I'm also a mental toughness coach. So tonight, we're gonna coach the raccoons on a very special topic. Okay, if you've ever had a job that fell apart, or a relationship that fell apart, or if you had a life goal or ambition fall apart, tonight's talk is for you. Or if you're the kind of person that others turn to for guidance and advice when they've gone through a major setback or challenge in life, then tonight's talk is for you. This is going to be all about how sometimes good things fall apart so something better can fall together. Let's go see who's out there. Come on. Here they come. You can actually see them running. Come on. Come on. Come on. Welcome to Raccoon Rambles. Oh, hello, sweetheart. Come on. Come on. Straight out of the woods and onto my lap. That's how they're rolling tonight. And I'm glad you got to catch a glimpse of seeing how they show up. They just come running out and they're like happy little puppy dogs. So here's a very well-known horse story that helps put things in perspective. This farmer lost one of his horses. It ran away. So his neighbor said, "Oh, what poor luck you have." And the farmer was like, "Maybe yes, maybe no. We'll see." Then the horse returned, and when it returned, it had 5 wild horses with it. So now the farmer has 6 horses. So then his neighbor's like, "Oh, what good luck you have." And the farmer was like, "Maybe yes, maybe no." Then the farmer's son was riding on one of the wild horses and got thrown off and broke his arm. So the neighbor said, "Wow, what bad luck you have." And the farmer said, "Maybe yes, maybe no." Then the army came by to recruit the son to join in the war effort. But because he had a broken arm, they didn't recruit him to the army. And so the neighbor said, "Oh, what good luck you have." To which the farmer replied, "Maybe yes, maybe no." The point is, we don't know what's good or bad luck until the future unfolds. And sometimes what feels like a curse in the moment can actually be a blessing. So when beliefs shatter, when relationships fall apart, and your dreams crumble, just know that what comes next is often growth. As Eileen Caddy says, a tree has to rid itself of its dead leaves before the new growth can spring forth in its glory. And I have a story about this. You know, there was a lady whose life seemed to fall apart. She was the biggest failure she knew. She was a single mom, and she had a child that wouldn't behave very well when they were at home. But the child would be on its best behavior in public. The only way she could really manage this child was to go to the coffee shop and hang out. And while she was there, because she had already hit rock bottom, she had guilt-free permission to just do whatever she wanted in life because she was already the biggest failure she knew. So she decided to write stories about magic. It didn't make any sense. It didn't seem like a practical thing to be doing. Those stories ended up being some of the best-selling stories of all time. That's the story of how J.K. Rowling came to write the Harry Potter series. And it's a pretty miraculous and magical outcome for a muggle, which is a Harry Potter term for someone who lacks magical ability. So just know that there's magic in the air at these transition points in life, even though it might not seem like it at the time. Trust in the big picture. All changes for the better usually require some form of loss, okay? Imagine how it would be if you were still with your first ever boyfriend or girlfriend. Right? Imagine you were still in your first ever job. I'd be a paper boy for the Oshawa this week. That wouldn't be that great. My second job, I was cleaning horse manure and doing haying at a farm in Port Perry, Ontario. How would it be for you if you were still in your first job or still with your first boyfriend or girlfriend? All improvement requires a sense of loss. You know, destiny shapes our life by dashing our dreams to pieces. But the plans of the divine are long range. This is called fierce grace. True or false? Sometimes a temporary setback is necessary to assure a greater victory in the end. The caterpillar dies. It was a good thing it came to an end, so it can become a butterfly. Now, if you were one of the other caterpillars watching your caterpillar buddy cocoon up and turn to goo, you might be like, ugh, poor Bob over there. You could have no idea that Bob is going to emerge as a monarch butterfly soon after. The main question is, are you evolving, yes or no? This can be a very exciting adventure you're beginning on if you're going through a major transition in life. Okay. So I have this little doll here. It's Francis of Assisi. He's considered one of the greatest saints of all time. People know him for his humility, his unconditional love. People know him for his unique connection to all animals. And I brought him out to remind me to tell the story about him. So Francis of Assisi wanted to be a knight. That was his goal. He wanted the glory of being a knight. You know, in the same way I wanted to be a professional baseball player or hockey player when I was growing up. What did you want to be when you were growing up? So anyways, Francis of Assisi went into war and was captured. And he was a prisoner of war for 1 full year. His dream had really fallen apart. His dream was not to be a prisoner. So then eventually he's released and he has a second chance at being a knight. And so he decides, I'm going back to war. And this time, his dad even bought him like brand new shiny gold armor and everything else. He was just decked out for success. And as he's proceeding forth in his journey to be a knight, he gets a vision. And in that vision, he is basically asked, you know, who do you want to work for, the servant or the master? To which he interpreted, do you want to work for the world or do you want to work for God, who's in charge of the world? So he gave up his dreams of being a knight. He then went on to live one of the most beautiful human lives, set a very good example of virtue. He inspires people to this day. You might recognize his little statue as being in people's gardens. In future, I will perhaps do a video to tell some of his stories. It's an absolutely fantastic life he led, but his dream had to fall apart. It wasn't what he was hoping for or expecting in life. Some of you may know that I work as a mental toughness coach, and I started out working with pro and Olympic athletes. Before then, deciding that I wanted to work with the unsung heroes of society, everyday people. But I started out working with pro and Olympic athletes, and there was a time when I was coaching the British Columbia curling team, 2018. And they were in the Roar of the Rings. This is the Olympic qualifier to see which team is going to represent Canada at the Olympics. Now, previously, when I coached the BC team in 2014, we made it to the final two, and we lost to Team Ontario, who ended up winning the gold medal in Sochi in Russia. So we were really close. So we had some good expectations and good hopes for this time around. Now, I was away on a travel commitment and I had to miss the first 5 matches. The team lost the first 5 matches. They were eliminated before I even arrived. In fact, they told me I didn't even have to come. They said, Coach Fox, you don't have to waste your time. We're already eliminated. I said, no, now is the time when I want to be with you the most. If you're going through hell, I want to be right down there beside you. That's when I can help out the most. So I drove hours to get there, arrived, and all night long we sat and we shared stories about when good things in our life fell apart, but it made room or prepared us or was a stepping stone to something even better. People were talking about losing their jobs and something better coming out of it. Failed ambitions in life and something better came out of it. Relationships that fell apart and it was heartbreaking at the time. But now they're so happy that that relationship didn't work because they're so much happier than they thought they would be. I said to them, is it possible that this dream of being the men's Olympic curling team at the 2018 Olympics in Pyeongchang, that it has fallen apart so something better can fall together? And I turned to one of them, John, and I said, John, there's a new sport in the Olympics this year. It's curling mixed doubles. Isn't it possible you could be the first ever person to win a gold medal in a new Olympic sport? And he is like, yeah, I guess I could. And there was another guy on the team, Jimmy. And I said, Jimmy, you've always wanted to be a curling coach. Now that we got eliminated here, isn't it possible that you could be a curling coach in the next Olympics coming up? And he said, yeah, I guess I could. Sure enough, John qualified in curling mixed doubles. Him and Caitlin Laws, his partner, ended up winning the gold medal. All because our initial dream fell apart, the men's curling team. Jimmy Cotter, he ended up coaching the South Korean team at the Olympics. He got to be an Olympic curling coach because he was no longer in as a player. But that conversation of just going around all night sharing when good things fell apart and something better came out of it, it really cultivated deep hope about the future. Hopeful energy about the future. It can work. It's a good idea to try it out. One time I had somebody meet up with me because they found out their spouse was cheating on them. And it was heartbreaking because this was really the only major relationship they'd ever been in their life. and they had a kid. And we talked about times in his life when he went from struggle to success. Tell me about times you went from struggle to success and what you did to build up his belief in himself. Then we talked about how good things fall apart so something better can fall together. Then I got him on online dating. And he met his current wife. And they have a number of kids together, they're happier than ever, and he became friends with his ex, the one who cheated. And we don't want to negatively judge her. We don't know what people are going through, and one action does not mean somebody's a bad person. And that ex has been a really supportive friend to the couple, and it's all worked out for the best. But in the moment, it just seemed like the end of the world. Have you ever had a time in your life when something good fell apart and something better came out of it? I used to compete as a kickboxer, super heavyweight. I was undefeated. My sensei was talking about having me travel to New York for a fight. And I was looking forward to playing university football for Wilfrid Laurier Golden Hawks. And then, sure enough, I was in a football game for the city team, and I broke my shoulder. Major injury. Put an end to my kickboxing career. Not only that, but now I was injured going into football camp. And this was a major injury, a 3rd-degree shoulder separation. I ended up riding the pines just doing rehab, you know? So my dreams of being a football player, I ended up being a bench warmer. However, I was trying to get rehab for my shoulder. Everybody I was seeing wasn't really doing a great job. They were just kind of guessing. They didn't really understand what was going on with my shoulder. I know that now. So I eventually had to learn how to do my own rehab and how to figure out how to stabilize the AC joint. I didn't know it at the time, but that was preparing me for a career as a healer. Because the skills I developed to first of all help myself, I've been able to use to help others. And I've even developed a shoulder online course, and now I travel the world teaching people how to assess and correct shoulder injuries. And it all goes back to a dream I had earlier in life that fell apart. So I want to encourage you to think about a past difficulty you had in which something fell apart, but something better ultimately came out of it. Don't think about something that's fallen apart that hasn't been totally resolved yet for the better, okay? Think about something from your past. What was it that fell apart? Maybe it was an ambition you had, something you really wanted to do, and then it fell apart. Maybe it was a crush or a relationship or something. A job. How did it lead to something better? And I challenge you to think of the not so obvious connections. Like, did it make room in your life for something better that you were able to focus on next? Did you learn skills from it that helped you achieve something greater in future? Did it somehow expand your network, and did you meet new people as a result, and those people played a significant role in your life? You know? Did you end up finding something you're even more passionate about, or someone you're more passionate about? When it fell apart, was it obvious how it would lead to something better? I'm guessing it probably wasn't. You can do this multiple times, multiple stories in your life. I get people to do 3 to 5. It's important to reflect on that to remind yourself that you don't have to know how it's going to work out for the better. You don't even have to see how it's possible. You just have to have faith. You've found a way through these challenges before and risen above them and transcended them. You're still here. You can do it again. Ultimately, life, it's kind of like a walk in the fog, as I may have said before on Raccoon Rambles. We can't really see what's way up ahead, but we can control our next 2 steps, can't we? There's 3 powerful questions moving forward that we should ask. Number 1, what can I control? Can you control your attitude? If you wanted to, could you decide to have the best possible attitude for this circumstance? As Yogananda advises, we should try to find the perfect attitude for each life circumstance. Can you control what you prioritize at this point in your life? Absolutely you can, and that's powerful. Can you control what you focus on? Can you control your influences, who you surround yourself with to some degree? And most importantly, can you control what you do next? Eh? That's a big deal. The next question, number 2, what's important that we could work towards at this point? Let's put the old dream to rest, perhaps, and make room for a new dream right now. Come on. Come on. What else is important that we could focus on right now? Let's consider new directions for your life. Sometimes life has to place severe tests and challenges on us, so we'll consider new directions and better strategies. Think about something else that's worthwhile that you could just work towards. And number 3 is very important. It's community. So what kinds of people should you be connecting with right now? Can you create a community or join a community? Which people should be part of your circle right now to help you on this new journey forward? It might be time to embrace a new social group that can help you in new ways of thinking and be a new influence on you. So I want to close with an Asha Tyson quote, a very powerful quote for a time like this. Your journey has molded you for the greater good, and it was exactly what it was meant to be. There is no shortcutting to life. It took each and every situation to bring you to the now, and now is right on time. There's another burr off you. Come on.